good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well in your different time zones. We are excited to be part of the Right Here, Right Now Youth Action Climate Summit. And today we have a group of panelists, youth panelists from Uganda, who are going to talk about climate action around the country. They're going to talk about their different climate initiatives. They're going to talk about what has been done in regard to climate action in our country. And I hope you all will enjoy learning about Uganda. My name is Tabea Barbara Gracia, also a climate advocate from Uganda. I co-founded Ujana Empowerment Foundation, which raises awareness on SDG 13, climate action, through online webinars, essay competitions, and camps for the youth. Today, I will be your moderator, and with me, I have a panel of three vibrant, amazing youth who are doing great work across the country. One, we have Miss Amito Grace, who is a founder of Trainer Girl Uganda and leading climate initiatives in northern Uganda. We also have Mr. Mike Birungi, who works with the Uganda Wildlife Authority and he's leading initiatives such as Fauna and Flora Alliance. We also have Mr. Tumuhaise Deogratias Abwooli, who is leading a zero waste campaign currently in Kampala, Uganda. Our youth panelists, you're very, very welcome to this. And I will go straight to the panelists and start with a lady in the house, Miss Amito. Kindly tell us a little more about yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on your time zone. As introduced, my name is Amito Grace. I am a registered midwife by profession and a climate activist. I am also a sexual reproductive health and rights advocate. So I work in northern part of the country, northern part of Uganda. I co-founded Train and Girl Uganda. It's a community-based organization that is located in northern Uganda, specifically at Jumani district, where we lead initiatives to combat climate changes and then empower the girls in reproductive health rights and education. It's a pleasure to join you here today and looking forward to the deliberation. Thank you, everyone. Back to moderation.
Thank you so much, Miss Amito, and we look forward to hearing from you later more about your initiatives. Next, we have Mr. Tumuhaise Deogratias. Please tell us a little more about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, moderator, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in this call. Once again, I'm by name of Tumuhaise Deogratias, the founder of Enviro-link and Social Development Initiative, an initiative that looks at environment vis-a-vis social development. I aim at integrating SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, into development programs because most of the time our developments don't look at this. They are after business as usual, which is a very bad thing. So ESDI looks at development that moves along with sustainable development goals. Thank you so much for now.
Thank you for that introduction, and definitely we need development to move along with our SDGs, especially climate action. Now, moving on to Mr. Mike Birungi, please kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you, the moderator. I'm called Mike Birungi, a founder and a leader of the Wachingwe Youth for Economic Advancement and Cultural Heritage. We are dedicated to preserve the unique culture of the Wachingwe people and protecting the environment around them. I also head Fauna and Flora Alliance Uganda, and we are much focused on conserving Uganda's wildlife and the landscapes. Also, like you earlier said, moderator, I work with Uganda Wildlife Authority as the Assistant Human Wildlife Conflict Officer. And Uganda Life Authority is mandated by the Act of Parliament to conserve the wildlife in and outside protected areas here in Uganda. I'm excited to be here with you today, this afternoon, and to discuss these important topics. It's youth like you and I who can drive real change, and look forward to hearing your thoughts and sharing some insights from my own experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for that introduction. Indeed, it's the youth, like all of us in this panel, who can drive change. And now, moving on to our first question for all panelists. Meanwhile, for our panelists, don't forget to keep your cameras on and also to raise your voice while speaking. Ensure your microphones are working well. So, for our first question to the panel, what climate related projects are you currently running, and what are some of the challenges you're facing while running this project? Let's start with Mr. Tumuhaise Deogratias. Over to you. Okay, seeing that Mr. Deogratias left, let's start with Mr. Mike Birungi. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Like I earlier introduced myself, these are some of the climate-related projects that we are doing. Like I told you, I head Fauna and Flora Alliance Uganda. I head Wachingwe Youth for Economic Advancement and Cultural Heritage. I'm also in Uganda Life Authority. So I have several projects that I'm undertaking in my area, in my districts of work. And the first one is tree planting. Between the year 2022 up to date, we have planted more than 100 species of trees. And these trees are given to pupils and students in schools. These trees are given to communities around Queen Elizabeth National Park and to the Wachingo community. Why trees? We all know that trees absorb a lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. A mature tree can absorb between 40 to 100 kilograms of carbon dioxide just in 1 year. So we also predominantly our Wachingo people have been depending on firewood from Queen Elizabeth National Park. So as the population is increasing, there is a threat on the trees in the park. So we give out firewood so that these people can have alternatives of firewood outside the park in the long run. Waste management, we are doing waste management campaigns around Katwe salt mines or around Lake Katwe. We are doing waste management campaigns around Lake Edward, like for the starters, Wachingo people will depend a lot on fish. That is our major economic activity. And we fish from Lake Edward, from the Kazinga Channel, and Lake George. So we are doing a lot of cleanup around these lakes. We also do energy saving stoves and charcoal briquettes. We train our youth, the young people, we train the communities on how to make better energy saving stoves and the charcoal briquettes. Why this? Because of increase in the population, there is a lot of demand for fuel wood from the national park. So energy saving stoves, they use less firewood. Charcoal briquettes, they also use banana peelings and other organic waste materials, thereby reducing the waste and reducing dependency on the park resources as firewood. We are doing some apiary. Apiary is an environmental friendly project. We are giving out beehives to our communities. These beehives, people get a lot of honey. They sell this honey and get money. At the end of the day, they will not go outside there to cut down park trees for firewood. They will not go outside there to do a lot of poaching after them getting some good money from the beekeeping. We are giving out rabbits. We are giving out liquid trainings in liquid soap to give these people alternatives, like livelihood alternatives. Before they could do a lot of fishing, before they could do a lot of poaching, but when you give them alternative incomes, livelihoods, they help them to reduce on those bad vices. We are doing aquaculture. Like I told you, for us, we depend a lot on fishing, and because of climate effects like prolonged drought, over flooding, there is reduced catch of fish in the lakes, and this is affecting the people's pockets, affecting people's homes. The children are not going to school, things like that. So by doing aquaculture, supporting these communities and aquaculture initiatives, they are getting alternatives, they are getting money to provide some social necessities to their homes and children. We are also doing a lot of awareness in schools, awareness in communities, awareness in even areas outside the Pinellas National Park. So that slowly these people should be aware of the importance of the natural resources. These people should be aware of the effects of climate change and how we can mitigate these effects. We are doing cultural performances and events, traditional cultural performance and events in schools. For example, in Katwe and Katunguru, where there is a lot of concentration of Bachingo. This one helps to teach the young people about our Bachingo culture. Also, we are doing some ecotourism, nature walks around Lake Katwe, walks around Lake Edward, that is Katwe landing site. And from this activity, we are getting some little money to support us in the activities I mentioned above. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Birungi, for that very, very comprehensive discussion. I like the fact that you are training the youth and the communities on different skills to earn a source of income, because usually when people talk about climate change to communities, they always ask, okay, if we do these things and we still don't have a source of livelihood, then what happens? So I like the fact that you are also offering them something that can help them to earn money. Before we move on to the next panelist, I would like to ask Mr. Mike Birungi, are you facing any challenges in your work from the communities or from the local authorities? Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Yeah, we have some challenges like lack of documented oral history. Uh, uh, our 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 Bachingwe ethnicity is not documented. The history is not documented, and this makes it harder to preserve and pass the 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 the, 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 the history to the next generation. Mindset of our people, it is very hard for people to change. For them, they are after immediate survival. Like you said, when you talk about climate change, climate mitigation, adaptation, they will ask you, what will I eat home? So it is very hard that people don't change easily. Lack of political will and support. Some politicians, they don't support some of these initiatives like waste management campaigns. Laws are there, but they don't enforce them. You find, like, for example, around Lake Edward, around Lake Katwe, there is a lot of plastics dumped in Hauli because the politicians are not supporting the cause. Low level of education, it is on record that landing sites, there is a lot of school dropouts around landing sites. There's a lot of slums around landing sites. It is the same case within our region. We have more than 11 landing sites, and there is a lot of school dropout. And when you are teaching people who have not gone to school, it takes time for them to understand you. Limited resources, much as we are doing this and that, but we don't have much resources to reach to the wider community. Yes. Also, we lack audio-visual equipment to do a lot of awareness, for example, in the young people and other groups of people. Thank you.
Thank you for presenting those challenges. And now we shall move on to our next speaker, Mr. Tumuhaise Deogratias. What projects are you currently undertaking that are related to climate change, and what are some of the challenges you're facing? Over to you, Mr. Deogratias.
Well, thank you so much. The projects I'm implementing majorly, one are in restoration work, and then circular, or call it waste management. And for the first one, looking at restoration works, I am involving myself in the demarcation of wetlands in the eastern region, planting trees, especially fruit trees. Why fruit trees? As the previous speaker said, people want the economic part of it. So that way, people respond. But also, sensitization work still goes on in these areas of restoration. Then the other activity that I'm doing is waste management, whereby poor waste management in Kampala is no longer is not something new, but something that everyone can see. So what I am doing about it as the Enviro-link and Child Development Initiative is working with the waste pickers such that we get more waste collected off the streets. Majorly, there are two types. There is organic and there is also inorganic, but particularly I'm concentrating because of the resources on the recyclable waste. We want to pick this waste and take it to the plants that are doing or adding value to it. And together with the communities, my role is to encourage them to see how well they can segregate it and why should they, and after then help them health-wise pick this waste to the recycling companies. Then the challenges, as you told me to speak about, one is the people don't know or lack information why they should segregate, why at times these places are lacking. Someone will collect the waste, but he has nowhere to dump it. For example, maybe the authorities may not have provided the places. So in that form, you'll find them either in the illegal dump sites, on the roadsides, in the wetlands, etc. in the water sources. So that is also a challenge that people are lacking places, people are lacking information and what to do with them. Then also waste segregation is still a challenge. You'll agree with me that once waste is really not clean, it also takes more costs to clean it and also recycle it. So that is also still a bit of a challenge. Then the other problem is poor waste, rather enforcement. Enforcement is still lacking. The laws are there, as my previous speaker said. Enforcement is still lacking, and then definitely the health of these workers, for lack of a better word, I call them waste pickers. These people are in poor health. For example, they're exposed to syringes from hospital waste. They are exposed to glass cuttings. These people have no medical insurance. So, like, their life is really in daily, and yet they are doing a great work for our environment. Remember, this waste, once it decomposes, it will emit greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And if it does not decompose, then it is burnt in our households. And these emissions directly go to our climate system to cause the climate changes that we are seeing. So then the other challenge I can talk about is our people are lacking educational awareness. The mindset is still lacking, is still poor, and really that is challenging. So that is it from me now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deogratias, for presenting your wonderful work on climate action. You have spoken about restoration through planting of trees, but also waste management in our capital city. I have a quick question for you. How do you monitor the trees you have planted and ensure people are actually growing these trees? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. Monitoring of trees, normally we work with the local leaders, especially the structures of government, the LOCs. We get to them, and then at a certain time also do follow up on what they have said or what they have communicated. So we spare some time and also look at the survival rate. So at the end, maybe after a period of 3 months or 4 months, we go back and monitor which species survived, which is not doing well, and what vis-a-vis the communication from the local leaders. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that insight. I know that one of the challenges I have had over and over from different climate advocates is monitoring the growth of trees, and you have offered for us a very good solution that other climate advocates can also use in their work. Thank you for that. And now moving on to Miss Amito Grace, the same question for you. What climate related projects are you currently undertaking, and what are some of the challenges you're facing in their implementation? Thank you. Over to you, Miss Grace.
Thank you, moderator. I myself and then the organization I work with, that's Train and Uganda, I had a long statement that health workers, so my advocates integrate climate justice and sustainable reproductive health because this correlates and climate changes directly affect the health. So one of the major activity that we do is advocate, trying to create, building civil competency of learners, both at schools and outside schools, about climate change, about environmental conservation. So we do a lot of advocacy in schools, that we do them through debate. So every year we try as much as possible to organize a debate. For example, last year we had inter-school debate that attracted many schools in West Nile, which happened in Abwooli district. where the learners come and talk about how we can protect our environment. So through these engagements, we learn a lot because these learners they have a lot of ideas. So we just need them to give them the platform to explain what they can do. So while we have this debate, we have to call upon other, we collaborate with other sectors so that they come and be present to the ideas that the young people have, and then learn what they can pick on from there so that they take action from those activities that the young people will present. So one of the things that we do, organize debate among the learners so that they compete. Yeah. And then another activity is tree planting. In 2022, we planted 4,000 trees in total, whereby we work with the schools. So we already work with the established structure so that we have sustainability. Because when we attach them to schools, the parents and the teachers are responsible to look after what we present to them when we are not there. So these trees we planted, we used 8 schools in West Nile. So we visited the schools, provided them with materials for planting, trained them how to nurture those trees, make sure that they grow, and then had a demonstration plot where we planted for the schools. And then the students went back with the seedlings so that they go and plant at their different homes. So if you know West Nile, we are refugee hosting community. So we have high population to begin with because now we have the host community and then the refugee community. So all the implementations that we do, we have to, vis-a-vis what we do in the host community should be carried out in the refugee community. Because if you build capacity of the other and you leave the other one, they are going to, drain it downwards the effort that you make the other side. Yeah, so that is one of the things that we do. And then as trainer girl, we train a girl Uganda. Our major strength that we focus on is advocating for sexual reproductive health and climate as well. So we do training how to manage menstruation, menstrual health management. We realize that waste that girls generate from the, materials that we use while we are in our menstruation. For example, those disposable towels and then those parts that we use, they degrade the environment so much. So in schools, we do advocacy. How do we manage the waste that we get from the, menstruation hygiene products that we use? So one of the projects that we undertook, training of schools how to make reusable pads. So you find like if a girl uses a reusable pad, it reduces the chances of, degrading the environment from those disposable pads that they always use. And sometimes they don't dispose them very well. So we train so far 2 schools that are currently producing pads for the girls in their schools. Due to the limited resources, we are still, piloting and expanding as the funding comes, as we get resources, we expand to different other schools. But one of the things that we are focusing on menstrual management hygiene, like girls should try as much as possible to dispose the pads very well. We teach them how to use the reusable pads so that as they are also using those pads, they are protected and they are not exposed to other infections because, like managing the hygiene with menstruation is called for a lot of caution. And then another activity that we do is waste management. We work with in-school and out-school students when they are for holidays. We try to organize campaigns and clean towns, clean villages, clean places like public places like markets. So this we work with the local authorities where they can provide us with other resources that we can use to, facilitate these activities that we do. Yeah. So in the process of doing that, advocacy is a process. You have to keep going. Yeah. So while we do those activities, we keep advocating for, clean environment. We keep advocating for activities that, protect our environment for a better future. So that is it. And then lastly, I'm part of the advocate to protect natural resources. We have a forest in West Nile. It's called Zoka Forest. It's a natural tropical rainforest. It's situated in the Ujana Empowerment Foundation district. It's a very big forest measuring about 1,259 acres. So this forest, has been facing a lot of issues from the communities and other members who are encroaching in the forest and trying to cut down the trees which are in the forest. So we decided to form ourselves and try what can we do to protect the environment, protect this forest. So I'm among the force that protects Zoka forest, commonly known as Friends of Zoka. So we do advocate. We take the youth to the forest to see the beauty of the forest. We do like nature walk while they are there. Why are we doing that? So that they see that this is a natural resource that is very important. We tell them the advantage of the forest. And then also try as much as possible to hold our duty bearers accountable, because the deforestation that is happening at Zoka Forest it's like a commercial. You find if I see lorries with logs from the forest, like, it will break my heart because with the time this forest will go. First of all, we are already experiencing a lot of climate changes. So that is also one of the things that I participate in, protecting the national forest from SOCA. So to move on with the challenges, I can say there are quite many, but the major one that I like being an advocate and a female advocate. Of course, the community sometimes still have like there are those societal thoughts that they have towards like girls who do certain kind of things. They already have like situation, this should be done by female, this should be like the gender role. Yeah, so sometimes I find that resistance. And then also you see this natural resource that we have, sometimes you don't know the people who are behind the destruction of the forest. So you find threats from certain people, which hinders your advocacy. They try to intimidate you so that you don't talk about certain things. So that is one of the threats that I myself I can explain how it happened, but for this forum I would just say yeah, there are threats that come from certain advocacies that we make. And then also overpopulation. Northern Uganda as a refugee hosting community, the population is really very big. So like the little resource that you put, sometimes you may feel like it's a drop in the ocean. But yeah, so we have like the overpopulation and the resources that we have do not stretch like enough to reach everyone that we would like to reach with our services and advocacy. And then um, lastly, I would like to talk about the political will, the political will. So you find those challenges that the politicians do not support so much the environmental conservation, because they are the powerhouse, they are the decision making, they can reinforce the law. So if they strengthen the laws that we already have, like, our climate action would be easier. So majorly those are the challenges and few of the activities that we undertake under climate action. Thank you, moderator. Back to you.
Thank you, Miss Grace, for those lovely initiatives that you're doing in northern Uganda, the protection of Zoka Forest, but also with schools, empowerment of students through debates and other forms of education. I also really like the fact that you link climate action to reproductive health. And from that aspect, I have a question for you. Are girls receptive to the reusable pads? And there are some students who are like, oh, I would rather use something that's more convenient for me because I can afford it, instead of using something that's good for the environment, but then it takes a lot of effort to maintain it. Over to you, Miss Grace.
All right, thank you for the question. Uh, it's amazing how like you go for those outreaches and then talk about the options that we have, and then they both be very effective. Yes, they have. First of all, it is cost effective. Remember, you can buy one reusable part and use it for quite a certain period of time, longer than the ones that you keep buying every month. So like the cost of parts that they buy it's already expensive in itself. So if you have another option that you can get this part you use for 5, 6, 7, 8 months. You just need to wash, clean, and keep them very well so that you don't get infections. Yes, they are receptive and then they welcome as well. Maybe another type of menstrual management product that we talk about menstrual cups. I don't know if you've heard about them. Yeah. So we tried and collaborated with another organization that offers them menstrual cups. So currently in West Nile, we are also advocating for them to use menstrual cups. Menstrual cups, they are very comfortable from the experience of the girls that use. I myself was lucky and fortunate to experience using one. It's very comfortable to use. And then the only challenge with it is it's very expensive. It's very expensive, and then the girls do not afford. They'll be very interested to use them, but to find the cost high because we only advocate and teach them have this, use this, but we don't give them for free. So that is that is it about the menstrual hygiene. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. I have another question for all of you advocates. We have spoken about the different challenges that you are facing, and it wouldn't be nice to move on without asking about some of the solutions you propose or some of the solutions you are already putting in place to overcome these challenges. For most of you, I have taken note that there is issues with enforcement by local authorities. Sorry, there is issues of limited funding. There is issues of intimidation for the case of conservation of Zoka forest. There is also issues about gender roles, and then there is an issue, a very big issue of mindset change. So, dear panelists, I'm going to move around the room again to find out some of the solutions you are using to tackle these challenges, or rather, some of the ones you propose if you're not already tackling the challenges. Over to you, Mr. Mike Birungi. Thank you.
Thank you, the moderator. Talking about on how we are trying to overcome these challenges. One is through advocacy and lobbying. On my side, we have had a lot of meetings with the local leaders, with the NGOs and the CBOs, these community-based organizations. We come together and try to sensitize them and come up with some solutions. We are also doing a lot of public awareness to change on the mind. We talked of mindset problem. So we are doing a lot of public awareness in and outside our communities, even in schools, so that we change the mindset of these people. We are doing some partnership, like I talked of Bachingwe Youth Economic Advancement and Cultural Heritage. It is partnering with the Flora and Fauna Uganda. I talked about that. We also in partnership with the Katwe Ecotourism Information Center. When this is an ecotourism organization around Katwe, inside Queen Elizabeth National Park. When they get tourists interested in the cultural aspect, they bring them to us. We also receive them, get some little money to address the problem of limited resources. We are doing community-based monitoring. Like I said, we have we depend a lot on natural resources like Lake Edward, Lake Katwe, and these are managed locally through the lobby. The local government has introduced what you call the Environmental Conservation Committee locally that is helping in monitoring all these natural resources. We are doing mentorship programs about bachelor communities. We invite them, we bring experts, and they mentor them in the environmental conservation related initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for those solutions. And now let's move on to Miss Grace. Could you tell us some of the solutions that you are proposing for your challenges?
Thank you very much. I would start straight up with the gender roles in the community, the gender advocacy, and then action. As the name of our CBO, the community-based organization space, is called Trainer Girl Uganda. So one of the things that every time when I go for advocacy, they start from asking, this is Trainer Girl Uganda, who's going to train our boys? So like if it's front, the name itself front, like, girls can do this. So and in most of the initiatives, we try to have like balance, like 50 or sometimes even 50% girls and 40% boys. For example, in the tree campaign, the tree planting that we did, we were looking for the resources and for the funds. The project was Go Girl, like Go Girl doing campaign. So it was fronting more than like the girls to be at the forefront, because as we know, a lot of these challenges go directly to the women. They are the one who be in the kitchen cooking with the firewood. They are the one who go look for charcoal and firewood for cooking. Like a lot of these climate effects affect them. So we try as much as possible to work with them, and then also work with the local leaders and cultural leaders. We have had intergenerational dialogue in the community. So when we have those dialogues, even if they are about different things, we try to front the image that we can all do things in the community, whether you're a girl or you're a boy, whether you're a man or female. So that's one of the things that we are doing, but of course it's a process and we still need more time to do that. And then on limited resources, as a community-based organization, uh, we try as much as possible to work with the people who are in the space already who have resources. For example, we are good, we are experts in training. We do a lot of training. So if someone already have a slot to train, we offer the human resource that they may be lacking, because like, when you put resources together, you can execute. Yeah, but also continuing lobbying from government, other organizations and agencies that we have. And then another way that we're trying to combat the challenges, using the school clubs that they are already there, and then integrating the climate actions activities into our day-to-day work. We have very many humanitarian organizations that do a lot of things, but they don't integrate climate actions into them. For example, when I go for an outreach, a community outreach for health, like we go for those immunization and whatnot, to try and then put a thought, a minute or two, talk about climate. So we try to integrate that in other activities which are already there, which may not need necessarily starting time from zero to the major ways that we are using to solve the problems that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Grace, for those solutions. And now moving on to Mr. Tumuhaise. What solutions do you propose to the problems you're facing? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Madam Moderator. The solutions are not far from my colleagues because as if we are sharing the same problems, but definitely I wouldn't shy to say that sensitization is ongoing, especially on what we are doing on those problems, especially zeroing on restoration and waste management. Why should people do that? Why should people restore, and why should people manage waste? Communities need to be reminded each and every time such that their mindset is changed. Then the other thing we are trying to do is also providing personal protective equipment, maybe call it PPE, especially to protect these communities from the sharp objects, the bad weather, the talk, talk of it all. So the personal protective equipment uh, guides to solve the health issue that these people are facing. in the due course, especially the waste pickers. And then the other solution we are also providing is, of course, segregation. We provide bins to these communities to properly dispose what is not decomposing, and what is decomposing, then it is easily picked to the recycling companies or to the people in charge. However, a few things still remain challenging, like the enforcement, only engaging the local leaders, but still lacking. But it is a continuous process that we need to keep engaging them. And then the other challenge is the challenge of the challenge of people not complying. We try to also take them economically. How do they benefit? How do they benefit in an initiative that is climate smart? If you're planting a tree, if you're carrying out to maybe proper waste management, what solution are you, what achievement are you going to get from this? So it is all dwelling on mindset change and attaching value to what you're doing. Majorly, those are a few things that we are doing to solve the challenges we are facing. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Deogratias, for telling us about those solutions. Some of the key solutions that cut across that we have heard from the panelists include collaboration, awareness raising, but also partnerships with other organizations who are doing, either who can provide funds, or you can also provide training or something else to those organizations. Intergenerational dialogue also came out strongly, as well as dialogues, just dialogues, even though they're not intergenerational, with all stakeholders, including the local authorities. At this point, I would like us to move to the next question for our panelists. What inspired you to act? What inspired you to get into the climate space? Let's start off with Mr. Deogratias. What inspired you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, moderator. What inspired me, and still inspires me, is the fact that I have the environment background, especially when I was in school, and during that time, I was introduced to an aspect of climate change. But what intrigued me more, they said that climate will affect us who are in poor countries, more so in poor communities than the people in the developed world. That we are the ones who are going to have our crops fail. We are the ones who are going to experience the impacts of floods. We are the people who are going to face the various diseases that will come up, among other things that you know on climate change. So this really intrigued me, and I got interested in it. And to add more salt on the wound, when we visited the Chitezi landfill by then during our school tour, and we looked at the status of the waste, that how it the way it was managed, the composition was taking place, heat was everywhere, and I was told that is those are the greenhouse gases escaping into the atmosphere. So at the end of the day, they are going to bring out to that climate change aspect we are talking about. So all this really intrigued me, and I got so passionate, and up to now I'm still really pushing on because of this knowledge, or this information that I got from school. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you for sharing your inspiration, Mr. Deogratias. At this point, I would like to move on to Miss Grace. What inspired you to act?
Okay, thank you very much. My inspiration came from a combination of professional experience and personal conviction. As a F worker with an environmental activist, I always get those questions like, why are you doing that? If you be in the hospital as a middle, if you be in the hospital, there's a reunion, and then you're here in the community doing this and that. Yeah. So while working in the hospital, I saw how climate directly affects maternal and child health. For example, cases where we have changes in the rain season change, like we have differences in drought sometimes come, and then there's water conservation which is not right, the environment is degradation and waste. Yeah. So all this that I saw, like, what can I do about it? So some of the challenges that some of the illnesses that people have in the hospital are just being caused by poor waste management in the community, and like poor nutrition that come about due to climate changes in our community. So that's the first thing that drove me to be an activist in climate. And then secondly, in our African society, it's not common that mothers talk to their daughters about menstrual health management. So you find like you grow up without knowing how to pad yourself. By the time you start menstruation, you don't even know how to use a pad. And when you start using it, you just buy and then throw anywhere, like in the rubbish heap and whatnot, because of lack of the knowledge. So that also inspired me to come and teach the girls when you have menstruation, these are the materials that you can use, these are the ones which are environmental friendly, and this is how we should dispose them to protect our environment. So lack of that information growing up motivated me to be the agent of change and speak to the young ones that we need the information before they are exposed to that. And then lastly, I went for a nature walk, like just as a tourist, or I can say a local tourist in Zoka Forest. I was struck by the beauty of the forest. The air that you breathe there is so fresh, so clean. It's like amazing to see the different species of forest, of the trees in that forest. So seeing that the forest is being, degraded, people are cutting it down for commercial purposes, timber, charcoal, and whatnot, I got motivation to, to join the team that fights to protect the Zoka forest. So those are the major inspiration. And then lastly, of course, the platform like this gives me opportunities to interact with like-minded people, like the way I'm learning a lot and sharing experience with others. I was also motivated by our national activists like Vanessa Nakase when I see her in those platforms talking about climate action, like it motivates me. So those are the inspirations that drove me to this. Thank you. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you, Miss Grace, for sharing with us your journey and how your passion developed for climate action. At this point, we shall move on to Mr. Mike Birungi. How how did your passion develop? What inspired you to act? Thank you.
Thank you, the moderator. Like I told you, me am more of culture. I come from the Wachingo community. We lived here even before the gazettement of Queen Elizabeth National Park and other parks in Africa. So when the colonials came, they displaced our people. They forcefully chased them away from their lands. Others went to the present day Kasese, Rubirizi, Rukungiri, Kanungu, and others crossed to the other side of the DRC Congo. So this sort of displacement led numerous challenges. It came with a lot of challenges. Our children are often taught in the languages which are not theirs in the lower primary schools, which further isolates them from their heritage and limits their future opportunities. Many of our young people are not engaged in any work. Yes, they don't have work. Many of our young people lack access to quality education. Like I told you, we have a lot of school dropouts around my area. And the major economic activities, like I said, it is fishing, like Edward, Kaga Channel, and Lake George. Salt mining on Lake Katu, grazing of cows and goats on the land severely impacted by effects of climate change. We depend a lot on natural resources, that is the water, the land, and these are the areas that are severely affected by climate change. As a young man who has the knowledge who has the knowledge in natural resources management, I recognize the critical role indigenous people like the Wachingo play in conservation and natural resource stewardship. So this compelled me to raise my voice and be the spokesperson for my generation and my community. This one helped me to rise up and preserve my culture, protect the environment around my people, and also secure a sustainable future for our children. This one seriously motivated me to take action. That's why I'm here today talking about climate action. Thank you, the moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike, for sharing with us your inspiration that stems from the history of your people, the Bachingwe people. Dear viewers, you have heard from our different panelists what inspires them to act on in the climate space. We have heard about inspiration from nature walks in forests, inspiration from the medical field, inspiration from education, inspiration from the knowledge of knowing that Africa is facing the worst impacts of climate change and it will continue facing the worst impacts of climate change, as well as the history of the Bachingwe people from Kasese. Thank you so much. At this point, we're going to move on to the next question, which is on climate education. Some of our panelists have talked about raising awareness in schools, raising awareness among the youth. So I would like to find out from them what engaging approaches are they using for climate education that is inspiring the youth to act. I will start with Miss Grace. Miss Grace, over to you.
Thank you for that question. One of the things that we work with and experience that is working, first of all, our hands-on environmental projects. This climate action that we talk about to the youth. While growing up in schools, we have geography that we talk about our environment. We have agriculture that students take in school. They talk about climate and environment, but we realize that they do not, materialize what they learn in classes outside. So when we give them hands-on experience, like for example in tree planting, they go and participate, engage, and then they learn from each other, and it's kind of fun activity while they do that. It will help them to be motivated, build their confidence that they can, they can do it. At least there's something that they can do and they are seeing. And then another strategy that I think working the debate, the engagement that we have with the students. So when we have this kind of debate, we find like it attracts minds from different schools. And then since it's a competition, we find that teachers are so engaged to provide information or provide media where students can research and then, talk about what we can do to conserve our environment. That activity in itself is a very big source of information because you get like a lot of ideas. What activities can we do? So from that also we noted like what can we do because they have like a lot of things that if they are given a platform they can do. So the engagement of the debate in school, and then clubs at school. I highly only talk about clubs, but one of the things that came out from the debate and other schools already started in West Nile are having those eco clubs in school, whereby they are responsible for like green nature at school. They look after those plants that can be made left behind, talk about waste management and segregation at school. Yeah, so those are some of the lived experiences. I can see it works very well. And then lastly, I will talk about waste management in public places, for example, markets and towns. So when we have these outreaches where we go out and do such activities and still in amid all these activities we continue to advocate as we do the activities we say like why we are doing this, the reason why we are doing this. So it's trying to shift the mindset of the people. If you go to markets where we have done like several outreaches or campaigns or cleaning, the way they manage their waste is better than those who have not had any experience of having, they use come and clean after them and then look for that way. So those are the lived experiences and strategies that are working for us. Thank you. Back to
Thank,
you.
okay, thank you, Miss Grace, for sharing those approaches. So the key takeaways are market outreaches, debates in schools, the formation of clubs, and engaging students in practical activities. Thank you for that. Moving on to Mr. Mike Birungi, could you tell us some of the engaging approaches that you're using for climate education?
Thank you, the moderator. On our side, we are using tree planting initiatives. When you go out there with the young people, plant trees, teach them how to plant trees, teach them how to monitor these trees, and also we teach them why we are planting trees. It helps them to understand very fast. In simple, I can say hands-on helps them understand very fast. Community cleanup programs, we are doing a lot of campaigns, like I earlier said. We are doing a lot of campaigns around Lake Katwe, around Lake Edward, around the Kazinga Channel, and around Lake George. This helps to show the young generation that this is the way to go. And as we are doing this, we always have some sensitization. We tell the young people why the effects of these plastics on the land, on the air, on the water. So by going forward, they grow up knowing that they have to manage these wastes very well. We are also doing aquaculture projects. Like I said, we have been doing some fish farming, and we engage the young people to also learn on how we use it to do our traditional fishing and how we are transitioning to this modern ways of fishing and why we are doing that. Why we are doing it, we teach them that because of climate related effects, prolonged drought, like siltation of the waters, flooding of the waters, the fish catch or the fish population in these waters is reducing. So to adapt to go on with those challenging conditions, there is an option of fish farming, which is the aquaculture. So as they are learning, the young people they grow up. As they are growing, they grow knowing how to do such initiatives. Storytelling and indigenous knowledge. We do a lot of storytelling, uh, telling them our Chingwe norms, traditions, and others. Yeah, they also help young people to learn very fast. Cultural performances, we are doing a lot of cultural performances in schools. Yeah, and we have clubs like one of the speaker here said, we have formed clubs in schools, and we do a lot of competitions in music, dance, and drama. We do a lot of competitions in debate. We do a lot of competition in tree planting, and those clubs that plant more trees, we give them some gifts. Over to you, the moderator. Those are some of the approaches we are using in communities where we work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike, for sharing those key approaches on storytelling, use of cultural performances, use of clubs to create competitions for students, but also planting trees, but not just planting them, but telling students why they are planting the trees and why it is important for the environment. Thank you so much. Now over to you, Mr. Tumuhaise. Please tell us some of the engaging approaches you're using for climate education.
Thank you so much, moderator. I think for me, not thinking, but for me, the approaches, I have two sides. I have the elites, and then I have these local communities. Then you'll find the elites, the institutions, the local leaders, for them prefer conferences and workshops. So normally we have workshops and conferences, then these people come up with action plans depending on what they are going to implement vis-a-vis restoration or waste management. So these people prefer this, and really they feel it's better. But unlike the other communities that are not educated, normally I am not different from my colleagues. We use what we call creative art. Creative art, this one encompasses all that they have said. The stories, someone will tell you how they used to enjoy a certain species of a plant or their fruits, or tell you a story of how the animal was almost maybe grabbing them. So stories really were intriguing or intrigue these people to understand better their space and act accordingly. But also the other thing is while communicating climate information, we try to attach uh, rather while communicating information, we try to attach climate information such that these communities really integrate better the climate and then what they really do. For example, if we are saying that if you don't uh, properly manage waste is going to cause floods, and these floods will lead to maybe loss of your uh, economy, or we attach maybe billion shillings, something like that. So we have tried to attach climate information in our communication while trying to really sensitize these communities or educate them. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Deogratias, for sharing those approaches of creative art, but also conferences and workshops for other groups of people. Thank you. Dear panelists, now we're going to move on to our last question. What advice would you give to the youth who want to take action in the climate space, but they are afraid to do so? I will start with Mr. Mike Birungi.
Thank you, the moderator. What advice am I giving to my fellow youth outside there? I would tell them that don't fear to begin. Start small, but think big. We have all started small, but slowly by slowly, we are going. We have reached somewhere, and we have had a lot of impacts. climate change is a complex issue. That is very true. And sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Like my colleague was talking of the West in Chiteze, talking about the floods in Kampala, talking about the heavy storms in eastern Uganda and central Uganda, talking about a lot of things. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but every small action you do, whether it is planting a tree, whether it is cleaning up the community or educating others, it makes a very big difference. The key is to stay committed to your goal, even when progress seems to be low. Importantly to notice that as young people, we might not be having resources, but we have the knowledge, we have the time, we have all what it needs to make a difference. We can build partnerships. Like I said, in my organization where I come from, we do a lot of partnership with NGOs, we do a lot of partnership with other CBOs, we do a lot of partnership with international organizations. Talk about UNESCO, it's an international organization. So by doing so, these organizations, some of them will give you finances, some of them will give you more knowledge, some of them will give you trainings, some of them will give you seedlings. For us, we are planting trees, but we have never bought seedlings. It's through the partnerships that we lobby some organization. They give us tree seedlings, we go and plant them. To my fellow youth, don't be afraid of setbacks. That one is normal, but the road to sustainability and climate justice can always be tough, like I say. But each challenge that comes your way, each challenge that comes your way presents an opportunity to you and to your organization. Please use it to learn and use it to grow. Keep pushing forward. And also remember that progress is often a journey. Progress is a journey. Finally, our moderator, finally, these youth should also believe in the power, in our power. Youth will have power. Yes, as young people, we believe in new perspectives. As young people, believe in creativity, energy. Bring that creativity, bring that energy on the table. Have the power to challenge what is happening now. My colleague was talking about the Western Kampala. My colleague was talking about the cutting down of the forest, the Zoka forest, and very many other issues we have discussed here. You have all the power to challenge all this and push for the changes we want to see. Stay passionate, stay informed, do a lot of research on climate change, do a lot of reading on climate change, and most importantly, stay hopeful. You have to stay hopeful. You are the future, and your action today will shape the tomorrow. Thank you very much, moderator Batu.
Thank you, Mr. Mike, for those very inspiring words. Indeed, the youth have power. I hope all the youth out there are listening. And also, do not fear to make an impact, be consistent, and be very hopeful. Thank you, Mr. Mike. And now, moving on to Miss Grace, what advice would you give to the youth out there who want to join the climate space, but they do not know how to do so, or they are afraid to do so? Over to you, Mr. Grace. Miss Grace, sorry.
Thank you so much. My colleague gave good motivation and being inspired as well. As we go through this journey, we have setbacks and listening to someone tell you that you can do it. Yeah, it was very inspiring. So from me to the youth, I would say start from where you are. Start from where you are. We were not born with the knowledge that we have, but we learn. So if you have the will and then you have the desire to make a change in the climate action space, start with what you have, start from where you are. Do not be afraid that you need a big title or you need to be an expert. Because I myself am not an expert in the environmental space, but through the advocacy and then the learning from the people who came before me, I am able to speak about the climate action. So number one, start from where you have. Learn from the people who came before you and then those who are around you. So for example, in this forum, I'm learning from my colleagues who are doing another amazing work from the other side. So connect with others and keep learning, keep learning. The climate action space is very wide and it needs everyone to come together. Change is a collective journey, and then we don't have to think that any action we take is too small because it change. Yeah. So never underestimate your influence. So even if you talk to one person in school, I was very happy last year. My younger sister started senior 4, and then one of the projects that she did, we have no projects at school. One of the projects she did was tree planting, and she did that with some other friends of hers. And what inspired her was what I always talk about climate change and what's not. Climate change is very small. The fact that she did that for her agriculture project in senior 4 and inspired other colleagues to take on projects like that. It shows that the change we are trying to make, it's not going to waste. It's causing impact. So to my fellow youth, that where we are be connected. No change is very small. No action is very small. Stay informed and be resilient. The journey is tough, but remain tough, stand on the purpose, and keep learning. Thank you very much. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you, Miss Grace, for sharing those wise words and also inspiring your sister and other colleagues of hers in the same school. Some key takeaways from Miss Grace: start from where you are, stay informed, stay connected. And I hope everyone out there is continuing to learn from our panelists. At this point, we shall move on to Mr. Tumuhaise. Kindly share with us some advice for young change makers or potential change makers out there who would like to join the climate space, but they have no idea how to do so or they are afraid to do so. Over to you, Mr. Tumuhaise.
Thanks so much, moderator. For me, my advice would be if you are youth and you are really not active, I can say you are sitting on a frying pan. Please don't fall into fire. So please wake up, stand up, and act now. Because if you don't act, nature doesn't want us, but we want nature. Nature can go on, but for us, once nature abandons us, then we die. So in brief, nature doesn't want us, but we want nature. So my fellow young people, please rise up, act. It may not necessarily mean an advocate like me speaking up because we are all talented differently, but the thing is, what is that small thing that you can do for climate? Is it adopting a vegetarian diet instead of eating more meat? Is it reducing on the use of single-use plastics? Maybe instead of buying a single bottle, you can buy now a bigger bottle and put it in your room. Can you plant a tree at least in your compound, at least to have fruits, but also do some carbon sequestration or absorption from the atmosphere? So in brief, we can act differently, but all leading to one cause of fighting climate change. If you don't act, then we are all doomed. For instance, a lot of work needs to be done in energy. Most energy initiatives, colleagues, are targeting, let me say, rich people. But when you go to institutions, schools, energy is still a problem. People are still using firewood. Talk of urban economy. People are using these saving stoves that are really not that are not energy saving. So my fellow young people, we still have a lot of work to do. Please raise up. If you don't, nature is against us, and we don't want that. Otherwise, we shall all perish. Thank you so much. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Tumuhaise, for sharing those inspiring words to all the young people out there. Raise up, act now. It doesn't matter how small you start. Thank you so much. At this point, I will go around the panel one more time to hear a sentence or two on on to hear a sentence or two regarding climate action, your final words for the youth out there. I know you have just given advice to the youth, but we shall have one more round for all the panelists to tell us something, final parting words. So I will start with, who should I start with? I will start with Mr. Mike Birungi. Thank you.
Thank you, the moderator. My final word to the youth, to the communities, to Ugandans outside there, and to the entire world. It does climate change effects. They are not limited to a certain group of people. If it is flooding in the Rwenzori, in Kasese, in Vundudu, and Fotopoto, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a doctor, the floods will take your vehicle, they will take your house, they will take your banana plantation, they will take your cows. If Katonga Bridge is flooded by water, all vehicles will stop. Whether you are an environmental advocate like Birungi, whether you're a prime minister, your vehicle will not cross Katonga. If you're in eastern Uganda, the landslides, the heavy rains. If you're in the northern region and Karamoja, those prolonged droughts, they will affect all of us. And we need to rise up and we do something that will help will help save this mother nature. Don't underestimate the power of those small things. Why do you carry a kavera today and tomorrow going home? Why do you throw a plastic bottle on any place you find in Kampala, in Mbarara? Please, why would you drive to buy water, just a small bottle of water from the shop and coming back? We need to walk a lot, most especially young people. We need to do a lot of walking. We need to do a lot of riding motorcycles. We need to talk to the people, talk to our communities about climate action. Finally, I encourage you, the young people, I encourage you, my fellow Ugandans, and the people of this world. Let us go back to the communities, start conversations, and get involved in climate action. The work is not easy. Yeah, like we have been sharing about the challenges. The work is not easy. But with your energy, creativity, and determination, we can accomplish amazing things together. Thank you very much. Over to you, the moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike, for sharing your parting words with our audience. And a key takeaway, remember, climate change does not discriminate. It affects all classes of society. At this point, I would like to move on to Mr. Tumuhaise. Talk to the youth, talk to the world about climate action, your final parting words to encourage people around the world to act.
Thank you so much once again, Madam Moderator. My final word in brief is if we are to achieve climate action effectively, we need to integrate into climate justice. Climate justice, here we major I mean inclusivity for everyone, especially the marginalized groups. You have just heard from my project that people are really dealing in waste management, but they're exposed to different conditions. People in disaster-prone areas are really prone to different climate disasters, for example, floods. So as we are doing our climate action, let us not forget integrating these marginalized groups, the lame, the young. Let us involve everyone. Let it be a holistic approach such that we take this climate change by the phones and we all live in harmony in this world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tumuhaise, for those parting words and that call for action for everyone around the world to include marginalized communities in climate action. And now over to you, Ms. Grace, for your parting words.
Thank you so much to my fellow youth everywhere around the world. This collective effort that we are working on to change, it's not an individual journey, and then representation matters. So I encourage my fellow girls, young women across the globe, to join hands and then, journey together in this one cause that we are together working on. So do not feel intimidated in spaces. When you join and then you find that the people you're working with, they're only the male gender, be encouraged, stand to your ground and then keep up with the cause, because truly representation matters, and we are very vulnerable to the effects of the climate in our communities. And then to everyone, to majorly our leaders, we have youth leaders, we have other government leaders. You are our powerhouse. Please listen to what we communicate. Please make decisions that support and then improve climate in our environment. Please give us the opportunities to execute the plans that we have, the ideas that we have. So that is all from me. Thank you very much. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Miss Grace, for those parting words. To all the girls and women out there, you are encouraged to act. Do not be intimidated. At this juncture, I would like to thank all the panelists, all our Ugandan panelists, for coming out here to talk to the youth around the world, to inspire them and to tell them about the different climate initiatives happening in Uganda. And we hope they have truly been inspired. We also would like to thank the Said Business School for organizing the Right Now, Right Here Global Youth Summit. Indeed, climate action has to happen right here and right now. Thank you so much.